as IDs. Instead, use, when you're talking about the interface to get into a resource, use a non-primary key, use some sort of a unique identifier that is actually readable. But for now, I'm just going to pass on that argument and punt again and say, okay, what we're going to do is we actually want to construct a card in advance, all right? And then I'm going to store that card ID as if I were a client, so I can use it in a future API call. And then when I send, I'm going to actually send a GET request to the resource, and then notice I have the double brackets there, double curly braces. So what I'm done here is I am, and I'll show you here in just a second, I'll walk through step by step. So storing the card actually stores an instance variable inside of inside the running Cucumber environment. Now, there are pros and cons to doing this that you should be aware of. It's very easy to get, especially if you do this a lot, to have state that you thought was there that isn't there. It's the same problem that we get in any sort of application that deals with state across method boundaries. All right, that state may not be set up correctly, and therefore things can blow up. However, in this case, I think it actually represents the behavior that we expect pretty well, because it's almost like the Cucumber story is our client, and all we're saying is just store it, and in this case, it's storing it in memory. So I think it's actually a fairly logical way of handling this. The other thing that you could do is, instead of storing it, and I think I have an example in here, I definitely have an example in the app. Instead of storing it, you could say, and look at the next step. When I send a GET request, you could actually say, when I send a GET request to the cards/ID with the last card, for example, and then it could pull the last card data out rather than storing it. But in this case, I didn't. I stored that. And here's where things, I think this is a useful technique, because you kind of see